Hello and welcome to Discovering Grayslake, unveiling the stories and people that make our town so unique. I'm your host, David Wool, and I'm thrilled to bring you this new podcast that explores fascinating stories and experiences of local business owners and community leaders, right here where we call home. Grayslake Rehabilitation Center is a community-based private practice physical therapy provider. Do you know they have 13 clinical providers with various levels of specialties, including orthopedics, sports, neurology, vestibular, geriatrics, pelvic floor, and aquatic? What? Did I just say they have a pool? Well, they do, and it's the largest indoor warm water pool in Lake County, featuring 2 underwater treadmills and swim currents, and recently added clinical treatment specialties, in layman's terms, shockwave. They have both radial and focus units that are the newest tool in regenerative medicine, available to everyone. They pride themselves on the most current and up-to-date specialized care to keep you moving. If you're looking for physical therapy, make sure to see our friends at Grayslake Rehabilitation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Discovering Grayslake. I am not at Agora today, but a shout out to Agora because I love recording there. Today I'm actually at Vallon Studios in Grayslake, a photography studio, which used to be located downtown, but now just moved out just a little bit. So, Steve, welcome.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Dave.
Yes.
So, it's good to be back.
Yes. Okay. So you are back. So this is episode 90-something. We're getting very, very close to 100. So the reason that I wanted to bring you back on to talk about your other businesses, I was sitting at Emil's this past weekend, and I overheard a couple talking to me, which the story was familiar to me, but they were talking about how their kids are going through high school, and they're struggling with, what their purpose is. Like, what are these kids going to do with their lives? And, for planning for college, and they're obviously have saved money for college for a very long time, but overhearing them saying, we're going to spend all of this money, and Junior doesn't even know what he wants to do, which immediately made me think of you because of your program, Ignite. But for somebody that knows nothing about it, because it means a lot to me, and I think you're doing a great job with it, let's tell people what Ignite is, first of all.
Okay. It is a program that I've been developing for about 10 years. Well, it took me about 8 years to develop, and I've been running it now for about 2 years. That's literally what it came down to. At that point, 10 years ago, I had a business that was successful, and I was becoming overwhelmed by it.
Okay.
I felt like I was creating my own Frankenstein. And I was too cheap to start hiring a bunch of people out to help me out, so I just continued to do everything within reason. You know what I mean?
Right. Story of the usual entrepreneur.
Right.
We want to do everything ourselves.
Exactly. And if I kept going on that path, I know it would have collapsed on itself because so many things are falling through the crack then at that point. And that's terrible. So they say you can build a business so successful that it falls in on itself. I'm like, no, how? I'm like, well, like this, one day at a time. Right. When your to-do list goes from 50 to 60, and then you're overwhelmed by that, you come in the next day and you're like, I got 60 things to do, and then there's 8 more fires that day, and it takes 8 hours to put all those fires out. Guess what? Next day you now have 60 still. So I had things on my to-do list that were going certainly weeks long, months long, and I had a few ideas I was trying to accomplish that were on my list for over a year. Am I ever going to do these things? They were very important, but obviously I just didn't have time. Right?
I know the feeling.
You know the feeling. I think about your business when it was at its peak.
Absolutely.
It's just so many things are in the air.
Sure.
Right. Okay, so I decided to dive into like how do I fix this? So I said I don't know what to do, and so I had someone enter my life that said, well, what needs to be done? Make that list first. Let's figure it out. So I really made a very detailed to-do list all the way from like starting when the phone rings, what do you do? All the way to, who's going to go to the bank and do that and get stamps. I mean, there's everything. There's so many things to do. So created that program over time and started meeting with some people because I had some business people in my life that also needed this kind of help.
So just to back up, so this is a program that you're developing for your own business to get you on track.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
I want to make sure I heard you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I need this thing. And
how many other people do if you're doing it, right?
Right. I mean, I shared it with, including you.
Right.
Right. Yeah, my brother, Dr. Danny, I mean, all these guys. That's where it's like the nucleus in the beginning when we first started. I'm like, guys, I got some of these questions. I need some help. I can't do this by myself, sitting by myself in a dark room. I can't figure it out. Can I at least get your guys' opinion on something? And then we started asking questions, and at the end of it, we're like high-fiving. This was great. Cool. Maybe we should meet next week. Let's do it. And we just kept meeting and meeting and meeting. Then we started recording them. So I got like 52 episodes of what I call the Dominator meeting. And the Domineers came along. Also, I just like the name. It can be off-putting to a lot of people.
Sure.
Right.
I've even said, hey, yeah.
It's a little strong.
I don't know.
It's a little strong.
But that's what you built it for.
Right. Exactly. Right? Yeah. So I had someone when I first got in business remember we talked about thin threads in my other episode where someone told me I couldn't do it anyway. I get this idea. I want to try it. You can't do that, basically. I'm like, well, okay, now I'm going to do it so well that I'm going to dominate the market and put you out of business. So ultimately, it kind of happened. Yeah. That's where it came from. Okay. So ran that, and then throughout COVID is when I really developed the program. It became 13 modules, and we can, I'll talk about a little bit of that later. But when I did the official launch, I had about 15. I don't think it was quite 20, but more than 15, less than 20 business people in the room. Ran the program we did 11 weeks of the 13 weeks actually, and the feedback I got was just so tremendously awesome. And then two of the dads in the group, which very dear friends of mine as well, said, who really needs this program is my son.
Yeah.
Right? And they specifically said, could you take the business side of it out, because they don't have businesses, and just do the development, the personal development, getting your act together. You talked about, people at the table next to you. I don't know what they want to do with the rest of their lives. They don't realize that's like your purpose. Like, right. But I don't know what my son's purpose is, or my daughter's purpose, right?
We're taking a quick break just to say hello because everybody knows Nano, and Nano knows real estate. And actually, I believe that's the name of her Instagram page. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or know somebody in the market for a home, contact Nano from Baird & Warner. She's a Grayslake girl helping out Grayslake people.
It's basically, what do you want them to do that's going to fulfill them? So then they're kind of happy with the rest of their life.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, because I think when they talk, and anybody with kids there, and as we talk, when you talk about what are you going to do with the rest of your life, does that mean how you're going to make money and pay your bills? Because that's an easier thing to actually than finding something that you actually love to do that actually, and then pays your bills after that, right? Mm-hmm. Because I think you tell a story too that I love about, wasn't it your friend was father was a dentist or lawyer or something, and said, well, he was going to school because he had to be that, right? Mm-hmm.
Right.
But he hated it.
Right. Yeah, the story. Yeah, that's a 1 minute story. Sitting with a couple, because I always get to know my people, and it's a great way to get to know someone very, very quickly. What do you do for a living? Now you can put them on the right track, and you can ask a bunch of questions about that. So I'm like, hey, what do you want to, what are you going to do for a living, basically, or what do you do for a living? He's like, well, and he said it like this: I'm going to school to be a lawyer. And the way he said it, I immediately thought, okay, I can read body language. I'm like, what do you want to do? And he actually said, I want to be a photographer like you, actually.
Really?
But my parents are making me be a lawyer. It's because number one's an influence. They're influencing him. Plus, they get a massive amount of status by their son being a lawyer.
Right.
That gives you, elevates your status in a society. Well, my son's a lawyer and my daughter's a doctor. Like, ooh, wow, how fancy. Yeah, I made them both do that, and now they're going to be terrible. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to hire a lawyer like that.
No.
I want to hire a lawyer who wants to be a lawyer.
Absolutely.
They'll be way better at it.
Right.
Way better.
But that's funny because that's what you ran across in photography business, and little did they know, the stuff that you do on the sides.
Yeah.
Okay, so I understand. So this was originally a program that you were really working with like people like myself that were entrepreneurs, adults, going through these things that maybe needed more direction or to get organized in a lot of things, whether it's mentally or everything for their business, but found that it can really help the youth. So then, are you coaching these kids?
Okay, coaching. It's like I hate to say the one. It's a trigger word. I had hired probably 6 coaches to help me with my business. I think it was 6. Let's just go with 6. Okay. I fired 5 of them, and one of them he just kind of got out of the business and moved on. And by fired, it wasn't like an ugly thing. It's just like, I don't want to hire you anymore for this, because I felt like they were so new at it. And my questions were way more advanced. They almost had to do research to try to help me out. I'm like, no, I need someone with more experience. It was just a difficult situation. So I always say I fire coaches. So I don't want to be called a coach. I came up with the word. I'm a performance strategist.
A performance strategist. So yes. What does a performance strategist do?
Coaching. I just don't like the word. It's funny. Right. Am I being absolutely honest? Yes. Yeah, that is legit the word. You fire coaches, right?
Right.
But performance strategists kind of sit with you and let's do this kind of thing. The definitions are exactly the same. And right. I say it playfully, but I just don't like the word coach. So.
Sure.
Because there's so many coaches out there that are terrible.
Right.
But have you ever met a performance strategist that's let you down?
I've never met a performance strategist until today.
Exactly. There we go. Exactly. So,
okay. So to get on track for your non-coaching, so I see that a lot of things you're doing, like kids that are between. So what is the ideal age that the Ignite program is for? Where does it start at?
Right. Well, when I created Dominators, it was for semi-successful to slightly more successful business owners who were just now overwhelmed with the monster they created. Mm-hmm. So I wrote down what my ideal client would have been, and would have been like the 30 to 40 range, 30 to 40 years old. Has an ego. Yeah. It doesn't really want coaching, but desperately needs it. But their ego's getting in the way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And hey, I need help. I'm drowning here. And I want to talk to someone who's cool, who's not going to make me feel like an idiot. Because most people in their lives, especially their employees, they can't know what they're going through mentally.
No.
It becomes a very unstable work situation. So after running the program, and I was asked to take the business side out of it, my pastor was one of the people that were in that class, and he said, I want my 2 sons to go through this program with you.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And it like really got them on track. It got them thinking because of the stuff that we talk about. We asked like, I'm trying to develop, it's not quite there, but I want to ask the 20 most important life questions you could ask. And I want to address them in this program. We're going to sit down and actually talk about it for a while.
Right.
These are not just, do it when you have leisure time. We are here. We are going to talk about it with 6 other people, maybe 8 other people in the class that are also wanting to talk about it. You get way more out of that than just sitting for 3 minutes and writing down one sentence to that answer.
Right.
This is like deep life stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there because I think that one of those things, when I walked in here the other day and you had a meeting going, and I forget, I don't know how you said it, but it was something like, you start your meeting with like, is this what we're doing?
Yes.
I think is what you said.
Right. That was one of the Dominator meetings. Yes. Okay. That is one of the questions.
Is this what we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Like your life. I look people dead in the eye. And it's a kind of a trick question a little bit, but playful, but unbelievably deep. Remember we did that and we talked for like almost 2 hours on that one.
It's crazy.
Is this what we're doing?
Right.
Because you have the choice. You can stop right now what it is that you're doing. Well, I can't. I have all these mortgages. I'm like, well, welcome to your nightmare.
Right.
Or what is the little things that we can start fixing? So anyway, I switch it down to, I prefer like 18 to 25-year-old people.
Okay.
Because those are ones that are really lost. And by 18, I mean, you're like leaving high school, ready to go into college. What do I do? Oh my gosh, the youth is so lost right now.
Do you think that has
what are the percentage
with COVID and video games and instant gratification and being on their phones? Like,
yes, all that.
Yeah.
And deeper. I don't want to insult anyone, but it's like, it's the school system.
Yeah.
The school system is literally failing these kids, right? It's not, the school system is not a bunch of entrepreneurs teaching people how to get their life together. It's the students, 20 years ago that were really good at math, like really good at it, that are now teaching math. Great. Of course, you get it as a math teacher. You understand math. You're really good at it. You became a teacher and certified in math. I'm not. I'm not a mathematician. And that's great. When I built my business, the first thing I farmed out was my accounting. Although I'm good at math, I don't want to do it anymore. I have a creative mind. I'm a people person. So, and then the same thing with English. We got to take 4 years of English. I speak good or enough, man. Right? It's good or enough.
Yes, you're very good.
Yeah.
You speak very good.
Very good.
Yes.
Right.
So out of these 18-year-olds, so you feel like the lack of important things that should be taught through grade school, high school, that there's a part missing.
Yes.
Okay.
And how many of us out there agree with that? A massive majority, right?
I was a terrible student, so
right.
I mean.
And you're actually a teacher, so also at this point, right? You actually teach things too, right? So if if you're a teacher listening to this, you're like, well, I'm one of the good ones. Okay, I'm going to be real bold right here by saying this. Yes, good. You're one of the good ones. Now, how many on your staff do you know you're like, man alive, they are not good at this? Right. Those are the ones I'm talking about. They are letting our children down.
So you're talking about like life skills, basically,
yes.
too. Like we're spending all this time on the things that maybe you don't think are important in life. So at this point, people are struggling and maybe lost, especially, I have a son that's a sophomore in college now. For the longest time, didn't really know what he wants to do because I don't think they were even presented with those opportunities to look at things to go, wow, that's available, or who they are, things that they really love, right? So,
hey neighbors, this is Bill Mock with the Grayslake Chamber of Commerce, And if you're looking for a network of hard-working, customer-focused, and generally friendly local businesses who are dedicated to helping each other succeed, then I'd like to invite you to check out and consider joining our Grayslake Chamber. We offer our members so many ways to advance their businesses through social networking events, special event sponsorships, informative lunch and learns, and the ever-popular after-hours mixers. Come see why we say we're the new wave of business here in Lake County.
I like this program because I think it maybe opens their eyes to some other things that maybe they didn't even think were available or didn't think were possible, right?
Right. Because one of my biggest, in school, you have to be good at everything.
Sure.
Otherwise, you don't get a 4.0. What if you're terrible at math? Well, now you have a 3.0. Right. What if you have zero interest in English? Okay. Well, now you have a 2.5.
Right. And now I don't get a scholarship to go to college, and I can't do higher education because I wasn't interested in anything in school until I got into broadcasting. And then I loved it, and there was real practical life things that I could learn. But not being good at everything, if you couldn't have gotten to that point, then you're just left by the wayside, right? So then what do you do?
Right. So that's why my program actually starts off with like personality test. And through that personality test, of course, a lot of people have taken them, but a lot of people haven't. At one point, I didn't take one. So I start off the program with that, with a very simple test, and then there's a more advanced test.
Okay, because a lot of people listening will probably know, what's the name of those tests too?
Well, the more advanced one is the Myers-Briggs.
And
you can find free ones all over the internet.
Right.
Matter of fact, if you hit me up, send me an email, check out my website, which is in the process of being built right now. I'll have links to some of those things because there's free, information out there, basically. Sure. But one of the books that changed my life was Personality Plus. It's a little more basic. It keeps it at a level where I would understand. I consider myself like a forklift driver, right? I don't have a doctor brain, but I have a street brain. I can understand. I have way more wisdom than I have intelligence. Right? I don't know if anyone can relate to that.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot on the street, yo. That's terrible. Anyway,
from the street. So
right.
Personality is the first.
Right. It's personality because in school they don't teach you. I'll use Max as a great example. Right. He was forced to take, like all students, you got to take all classes. You got to be good at all of them. Oh my gosh, it's a terrible way to raise a child.
Right.
And then they're just, they struggle with things and like, well, I'm not smart in everything, so I must not be smart at all. But if we take these personality tests, and there's 40-something questions, 40 times 4, don't make me do math, 160 things that help you figure out like what you're really good at. And through this program, we're sitting there talking at the end of all these questionnaires. I ask each kid, each student, what are your top 5? And now sell me on you. We can build your life off of your top 5 strengths. That's what you should be doing. A great example of that is I was forced in a good way to be the leader of this one organization. They just liked what I did. I had a lot of experience with certain things. They put me in this position. There was 20 people in the room, probably more. I knew 2 of them. And I'm like, how do I get to know them as fast as possible? So I just went around the room. I said, tell me 2 things you're really good at and 1 thing you never want to do in the context of what we're trying to do. It was a planning committee to make events awesome. They went around the whole room. At the end, 2 parts to that. At the end, I got so much feedback, like, wow, I've never been asked that before. And to watch everyone answer those questions was mesmerizing. I could not believe how these were adults. I say the average age was probably 35 to 40. Right? These are not young kids who don't know what they're doing, And then I built a whole team off of that. Right? If you're quiet and you just want to be creative and create centerpieces, for instance, because you're artistic, but you never want to talk to people, great. I now have my centerpiece person and not the front door person.
Correct.
They are in the right spot. Since then, although I'm the leader, I am not leading anything because I have everyone in the right spot. That's how school should be. What are you good at? So that's the first module, is personalities. And I playfully say, and I have it in quotes, what makes you so special?
Right.
We're going to find out.
No, I love it too. And I think that through seeing what you do, and obviously you've taken personality tests and through some of these things, it also opens your eyes to maybe why you don't get along with certain people. Before you go out into the dating world, I think you should take a personality test and maybe have them find out what they are too, because they may just not mesh with you at all. Right. It doesn't matter if you're working with people, if you have to spend a lot of time with them. Understanding a personality test tells you a lot.
It does. Yeah, because we talk about weaknesses too. What are the weaknesses? So, there's categories, you have strengths. If you're a people person, you like to be on stage and that kind of thing. Those types I'm talking about like an extreme, like you like being with people. Where like a dark, moody kind of a kid, a little bit, everything's, doom and gloom, but they're more artistic. They can write like really dark songs, so their paintings a little bit darker, moody, and their poems, that rhyme with, things that are, evil, or evil's a bad word, but that type of person kind of rubs you the wrong way. But that's how they're wired. They're also incredibly creative and deep, and they think about things you would never think about. So we need each other. But you're right. There's like that opposite.
Right.
Right. So we talk about those things.
Sure.
I actually literally asked the question, what about this group aggravates you? Right?
Right.
Because they also are aggravated by you. Right? How could you be happy all the time? How could you? I would never stand in front of a bunch of people and talk.
Right. You mean that I could rub somebody the wrong way?
Maybe.
That's very strange.
Very.
Yeah. I've never experienced that ever. So it's it sounds like that lays a good groundwork of maybe opens, especially kids that age, like if they haven't taken one, to open their eyes to that. So
yeah.
So is that like when you do the class for these guys, like how long does that take? Like you're talking about like, the different modules that you do. So this is a in-person meeting,
yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Because I know that many people have like online courses. It doesn't seem like this one right here would work that well because there's a lot of interaction and a lot of talking and getting to know them.
Yes. Right. Looking people right dead in the eye and, actually, and then encouraging them. I mean, massive amounts of encouragement come through this program. Yes, I am trying to develop something that would be online, but it would still be done with us.
Sure.
I'm not going to do it for you. You have to do it. I can only rescue the ones that are swimming toward me.
Right.
And
then so where do you go from? So after they lay a basic thing, if they understand personality and who they're dealing with personality wise, what is the next step after that?
What are your values? I playfully ask, and I'll ask all your listeners too. Hey, do you have values? Shake your head if you do. Yes. Did you? Did you slightly raise your hand? Yeah. Okay. Then my next question, I always ask it powerfully like this. I go, oh yeah, you have values? What are they? And then people are like, family, money, right? My health. And all three of those are not actually values. They're just like umbrella terms for things that would be underneath that.
Interesting.
So, right. So I value family. Good answer. No, what about family do you value? Closeness, openness, vulnerability, encouragement. Those are values.
Gotcha.
And I ask everyone. Everyone has them, and most people can't define them.
Right. Have you had anybody ever that was like bang, 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 like named like
one person? One person. She was former Miss Illinois. Right? We all know her, and she's been on your podcast. She rattled off 5 immediately because she was trained to do it.
Right.
One, and I've run hundreds of people. Right? I've asked this question, and one person had 5. But even then, what's cool about it is then you also define it in your own terms. What does it mean to be loyal? Like loyalty comes up a lot. Creativity, loyalty, those are people value that a lot. And I'm like, cool. Now, what's your definition of loyalty?
Wow.
But boy, we got some really cool definitions that come through this program.
And I'm sure asking someone like me who's 117 years old and with a lot of life experience, my answers would be much different than a 19-year-old or someone that's just going through this, like, opening their eyes to, laying that groundwork. It could be kind of scary to look at too. Like,
right.
These two things starting off.
Yeah. We all have them, and when someone crosses one of them, they've now crossed a boundary, which is actually a value that you have. So you're right. Like a 19-year-old, their definition of loyalty would be different than someone who's 45 who's had betrayal happen more.
Right.
Betrayal will help you redefine what loyalty really means. Oh, my gosh, this program is so powerful, man. I get so much feedback. Like really very successful business owners have gone through this. It depends on your definition, right?
Right.
But have come through this, and they really like the values one. They're like, could I apply this to my business? Like, I think my business has values. I'm like, yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
Right? I've got a playful thing, and if you think about your values, they're usually positive, strong words. And then what's the opposite? Like antonym? Is that what they call that? Remember,
sure. I didn't learn that in school.
Okay, for all your teachers out there, so I don't think it's cinnamon because that's a spice.
Right. I think it's the opposite of the other one.
Okay, yes,
that's what I call it.
Okay, so I would just say it like that. Right. But if you use words that talk about the opposite of it, it can be very, very funny.
Right.
And I don't know if I have it like here real fast. No, I don't. Okay, I thought it. Wait. Yeah, here. Okay, here it is. So I developed one program, and our top 5 values were community, we're ethical, inspiring, we share wisdom, and improvement. So that would be like the 5 values of this company. And the opposite of that, if you wrote a mission statement, which is just funny to me, we are a people who are in constant conflict, full of corruption and discouragement, whose idiocy is worsening.
Wow.
So, where do you stand?
Right. That's pretty
You want to stand up for your values and actually build something dynamic, or just be mediocre?
Right.
Because it's a sliding scale, from idiocy to wisdom. Where are you? Are you wise? Are you kind of wise? Or are you kind of a ding-dong? I don't know. Can I say ding-dong in Illinois?
Yes.
Okay.
We're close enough to the border of Wisconsin.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I'm going to stop because we're at like a module 2, which would be values. So someone listening that hopefully they already have the idea of kind of the clients that you're looking for, to have in, because I think we all have somebody in our lives that will know, whether they're our children or a friend's child or maybe a neighbor or something, that can really use this stuff. These are classes that you're putting on in our town that are very accessible for people to do. How does that run? How does somebody get a hold of you, and what can they expect? Like, how many weeks is it? Just some general information before we go through the rest of the stuff.
Okay, so my full program is 13 modules.
Okay.
But the Ignite, so my my Dominator program, the one, because it's got more business in it, it's full 13 modules. My Ignite program, which takes a little of the business out, not to be redundant, is 10 modules.
Okay.
Actually, it's 9. Let's just go with 9. Sometimes I flex and I'll throw another one in there because they're like, oh, this is really great. Okay, here's a bonus one. But it's like nine modules, so it takes 9 weeks to go through it. We run it currently right now Tuesday nights. Okay. Right now from 7 to 9 p.m. So hopefully people can get home and still get some rest and stuff like that. It's run right out of my studio down. It's just up, I think 0.6 miles away from.
Right, from the heart.
From the heart of. Right. Yeah. So I'm on the same street, just a little bit further down.
Right.
I'm just not in downtown anymore. So yeah, that's what it does.
So Tuesday is the Ignite program, but you still are running the Dominator program. But right now the Tuesday nights are for Ignite.
Right. Yeah, the Dominator is a little more closed off right now, but because it's so powerfully awesome. I mean, you might be able to still get in there, but I charge a fortune for it now because it's too valuable. Right. Why did I say that? It's not a fortune.
Well,
it's still
because
affordable.
You didn't think I could afford it.
Right.
Well, maybe you should go through your personality test and see why you said that to me.
I value.
I value. So with the kids, and they want to sign up, for kids, especially right now, I think it's hugely valuable for someone, especially who's a junior, senior in high school right now, right? Maybe trying to gather their way, or whether they're a great student or a poor student. This is something that to put in rather than playing on their phone on Tuesday nights, right? Or they get to play video games, or they have to feed their animals in Farmville.
Right, exactly, yeah. Hey, when I die, keep feeding my animals.
What can they learn? So is the best way for people, what is the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
Via email.
Okay.
The best way, or send me a quick text, and we'll put that information in the podcast so you don't have to remember it and stop this and keep the flow going. You'll find the information later.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So there are openings for Ignite. I know that you're in the middle of a session right now.
Yeah, right at the end. We're on module 10.
Okay. So you'll have another one firing back.
They're out of, although there's 9 to 10 of them. I skipped some, and I don't want to change the numbers. So I don't want to get confused on the numbers, blah, blah, blah. You can edit that out or just keep it in. But yes. Right. So this week we're doing module 10, and then next week is module 11, and then
cool.
and then
so
we're restarting.
So it's constantly rotating. So if the worst case scenario is somebody would call and they'd have to wait 10 weeks to get in for the next
right.
one.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll change your life in 10 weeks. Just hold on.
Right. Exactly. So I think it's fun, too, because the last time that I walked in on one of your meetings, it was cool because it seems like the camaraderie between these kids around that age, do they come in as strangers and then they build probably a huge bond here as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I cannot believe it. That's why I'm so fulfilled by this program. I thought it would add some value. But I'm watching, especially some of these young men, their lives are transforming in front of my eyes. And it comes in a little bit of distrust. I had one guy that said, well, my friend said I should be here. I really don't know why I'm here. And he became a massive advocate for the program. He cannot stop talking about it. That's how I know it's working. Even my nephew came in. Uncle Steve, I came in in a fog. That's what he said. And I left as a man with a purpose. Wow.
That's awesome. Right.
Every time I talked to him, he's like,
I bet his dad was happy.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Right.
That's
awesome. Okay, so speaking of man with a purpose, I know that that's one of your modules that you go over. So we've kind of touched on personality, values, and then what is module. Where do you go from there?
Right. then it's purpose. Like what, and I mean, that could be a 20-week program just in that alone. So we just kind of dive into it a little bit. So I don't want to blow it too much, but I'll give you a little taste because I try to keep the question secret. But here it goes. We're going to kind of blow it a little bit. Right. It's not like, oh, that's the question. So I think if you took your 20 life questions and narrowed it down to the top 3, this would probably, in my opinion, be one of the top 3. And the question specifically is, what's your definition of success? Because most people don't think about it. Most people will see someone walking down the street and say, well, they look successful. Okay. That could be slightly thrown into your definition of success, but are they really successful? Like, I think my definition of success is fantastic for me, right? I like my life.
Most people have no idea what to do with their aging loved one who needs help. Well, there is a solution. A company that provides care and assistance to make your loved one feel right at home. At Right at Home, their mission statement is to improve the quality of life for those they serve. They offer extensive services: personal and companion care, safety supervision and transportation, fall prevention, dressing and bathing assistance, medical reminders, meal prep, hospice support, ambulation support, stroke recovery, Parkinson's support. The list goes on and on and on. If you have an aging loved one that needs help, call Right at Home. Most people prefer to age in their home rather than moving to an assisted living or nursing home. Right at Home can make this happen. Contact Right at Home at rightathomenlc.com or give them a call, 847-984-0103. Now back to the show.
During busy season, of course, I'm about 40 hours a week or something like that, but I got a really good staff that helps me. It was 80 before. So now it's down to 40, and that's in my busy season. It's still very manageable. And then in slow off season, that allows me to do other things and invest in young people. Okay, I dedicate a lot of nights just helping people out because my life is otherwise 20 hours a week. I could chase another 0.
Sure.
I literally could chase it. One of my coaches, one of the coaches I actually like, his company's worth $40 million. He goes, I could easily make it 80. Easily.
Yeah, but what's the cost of that?
But the cost of that is then it really costs my life. He goes, I'm fine with 40. Now, 40 is a lot, of course, duh.
Right.
But that's his company. That's not his paycheck. But that just made me really think about that. At some point, you're successful enough.
Right.
Right. And I like to have my time now at this point. I get a lot of feedback, especially from my pastor. Keep investing in the youth. Keep investing in the youth. That's absolutely the future. And these young people are so lost. They need someone like you who has the time.
Yeah. No, and they are lost. And they are lost, a lot of them. And even if they're kind of on track, especially a program like this can really sharpen them to really know where they're going or have a lot better idea. Maybe change their mind completely on what they thought they were going to do.
Right. So some of the kids have actually started businesses.
Really?
Like literally. Well, I know you sound surprised, but your son is one of them.
He did. He helped.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
They actually make them sit down. What it's like to start a business and modify this and start another business and get it going. A lot of it, what business plan? What do you need a business plan for? Let's just start going. Let's just start doing this. What is it that you want to do? And we ask all these questions. I'm a great performance strategist when it comes to this kind of thing because I've done it so many times. And if I don't know something, or I need a little bit of help because I don't have all the strengths. I only have a handful of strengths. I bring someone like you in who's great at marketing, right? And then you and I kick around to different ideas on how can we make this funny. And we bring that to the table. And if when I have another meeting where it's like the entrepreneur side for someone like your son, my nephew is another one. He started 2 businesses since he started this program. That's unbelievable because they're both seasonal. Well, one's one is more like all year, and one is very seasonal. So it's like, right, let's do this. And if they start to overwhelm me with kind of questions, that's not the word I want to use, but I would bring someone like you in, right? Now the 2 of us, let's help make some creative commercials to make this guy's business start to flourish. Right. So there's also I call it the battalion. It's the mastermind. It means the same thing. I've got a lot of people in my pocket that are willing to also help youth. And so that's why don't be overwhelmed by the process of starting a business. We got people.
Right.
And then I really know somebody who's also been on your podcast, Rock Trinell, who knows add 2 zeros, to the list of people I know, and that's who he knows. And so if it really becomes a big boy question, where you need hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of investment and that kind of stuff, we got people that are ready to go.
Wow, that's huge, especially when people come in and they don't have an idea of what they want to do. All right. So I like your, because I think that's a very thought-provoking question is, how do you, define success, which everybody does in a different way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Your definition of success requires a little more of the word fun in it, right?
Yeah. Well,
So-
yeah. 'Cause people that are successful, and if they do that by making a lot of money, but that consumes them from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed at night.
Yeah, people
tough.
like that.
Yeah.
Personally,
And it's hard.
Yeah.
And you know what? And that's where you have to say, where is the quality of your life, and why are you doing that? All of the things. Okay, so after purpose,
Then it really gets into it. So now I feel like once you have, what are your strengths? What do you value? In other words, what are boundaries that cannot be crossed? Let's help define the purpose. Help me define what success means to you. And it leads into the other question, which would be a top 3 question for sure, is what do you want?
wow.
Yeah. And that starts setting some goals. And start writing, what I call a mind dump. Just get it out of your mind. Write anything and everything. Let's go.
Interesting. I would love to hear like the kids on the first, like, obviously by this time, like when you're into like week 4 or 5, I like that you start with personalities, because as they feel more comfortable with people, it might be something that people would be shy to say in a small group. But it seems like by this point, when they're in there, it's a little more open.
Yep.
Or they're not.
The vulnerability in this
afraid of
class
something
it grows every single week. It's wonderful to watch.
Fun. Mm-hmm. Okay, so goals, then.
Then what's holding you back after that?
Yeah.
Like the roadblocks. What's literally holding you back? 95. I don't know what the percentage is. Most of it's in your mind.
Yeah.
So now let's overcome that.
Right.
That's an awesome module.
I bet that's fun too. So that's week.
That's week 5.
Each one of these are a week, so you can like a couple hours, like it's a 2-hour.
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably hard to shut them off sometimes.
Right. It really is. Yeah, there are some where it pushes 3 hours easily, but I let it flow because their mind isn't on fire now. And I said that one week, especially that one boy, I'm here. I don't know why I'm here. I just was told to be here. Great. And after the week 1, I couldn't shut him up. And then by the week 4, he became like a leader within the group. Very articulate speaking, and now he's off to college, and he's taking this program with him to college to help young people where he's going to college too.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. And I quote, "I don't know why I'm here."
Interesting. Okay, so you're running this program, so you have it out of the office here where we're sitting. Also, it seems like something you could take like on the road, whether it's for a community group, whether it's it's not obviously just for churches, but church group seems like like a youth group seems like a really great target audience that would be like somebody's looking to explore on a different level, because it's not really it is a business class, but it's not a business class, right? So
right.
Just to get them on track, just a life class, really. That's very cool.
And I've even had some like rougher students come through, I guess. That's a terrible word to say, but they're like lost. It's just a different level of lost.
Sure.
Like they're just so against the system now. They don't want to go to school. They're fighting it at every turn, but they know they have some sort of skill set. They're just not asked the right questions. Great. Have them join this. Right? And for a flat fee of blah, blah, blah,
Right. Because this is is for your A students, but also is for someone who we might think is, like I was in high school. Like I didn't want to go.
Right.
Like it just needs something to set them on fire, something outside the box thinking, rather than your everyday, school from 8 to 3 or whatever it is.
Right.
So it's kind of more the troubled kids, or they think they're troubled, but they're just bored out of their mind.
Bored out of their mind, right? And no one's doing that. One of the modules I skipped then would be branding. That would be the next one after that. That would be the business side of it, which is awesome. The last time I ran that with the business owners, it's supposed to be a 2-hour module. It took us 3 weeks to get through that because it was so fantastic for these people. It took 6 hours.
Did it really?
Yeah, because it's so unbelievably great. Because these are questions that most entrepreneurs have never been asked.
Right.
Or certainly let's sit down and talk about it with other entrepreneurs. That's the cool part about it, because it comes at a lot of people adding to it. Oh, well, that is something, especially with goals. When you start hearing other people's goals, they're so radically different. And some goals are small, like easy to accomplish, but for them, it's the first goal they've ever set.
Right. And when you do it, when you accomplish that goal, it tends to set them a little higher, or maybe having a bigger vision next time that you go to set a goal too.
Right.
But accomplishing one is a huge thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then module 7, or what I call critical crucials, which is just kind of a cool, I don't know, it's creative and that kind of thing. Basically, it's like roles and goals. That's the reason why I developed the program. That module is where it all started. So I don't want to give any of the secret sauce to that one, but that one's also very, I don't know, like eye-opening, I guess you would say. And then time management, what's jerking your wheel. I got my list of stuff to do today. Sit down Monday morning, boom, get all the papers straight. Okay, let's get started. And I open up the email. Oh, okay, for the next 8 hours, I got to be handling all this. Screw my to-do list.
Right.
Because my wheel just got jerked. I was heading this direction. Nope, you're headed now this direction. So that's how things get put off. So 7 and 8 tie directly together. Again, why I developed the program. And then discipline, getting your to-dos done, which is trademarked, by the way.
Yeah.
You can't. What'd you say? No, you can't say it.
I can't say it.
You can't say it.
What about with the consent of Major League Baseball? then I can say it.
It's the bowl of supers.
Wow.
Right?
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
And then after that, one of my favorite modules, and so many people get massive feedback on this one, is leadership. Again, you could read 40 books. Type in leadership in Amazon, and the list is 800 immediately. 50 pages worth of books on leadership. But I just have a nice little way to just recognize, especially if someone says I'm a good leader. Really? How would other people rate that? And then we start going through the rating system. Let's be honest about it. Are you really good at it? Do you think you're good at it? We judge by our good intentions, not by our actual actions. So that module is just awesome. It's fun. It's eye-opening. That's all that, that. And then we wrap up with what I call being nudged. Our elite 5. They're in our life for a reason. Are they? What's the influence that's right around you?
Sure. Well, they say you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to be the best drunk, hang out with the 4 best drinkers.
Right.
At least you're going to be in the top 5.
Yeah, right. 100%. Yeah.
And that's you turn into who you hang around with.
Right.
It'd be interesting for kids to actually grasp that.
Right.
Actually, or some adults that don't wonder because they're stuck in a certain spot, and then if they open their eyes to see who they hang around with, maybe that would answer some questions for you.
Right. Exactly. Because again, your friends aren't shoving you. They're nudging you. It's ever so slight, ever so subtle is what I'm looking for.
Right. They kind of shape what you do or what your hobbies are or where you're spending your free time or what you are doing.
Yep.
Interesting. I like that one too.
Mm-hmm.
What else is on your – so obviously you've done a lot of reading. I know that I think when I heard you talking about Dominators to somebody that, after, hundreds of books that you've read, you've put together a lot of these things, whether it's but mostly communication things from your talking about this to love languages to personality tests to like putting all these things together to understand yourself better, to understand others better too, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. So. I'd say I developed a program and there's a lot of truth to it. I don't know if it's specifically true, but I do say, I've read hundreds of books. Let's just say 100. I read 100 books, and out of all those books that I read, I took the top 13 chapters out of all of them and built a program that completely changed my life, and now I'm sharing it with people, and I'm watching other people's lives change. And some of the books that I know you had asked me before, Personality Plus was probably one of the best books I ever read. That was fantastic because it's literally once you get to the chapter that's about you, you're like, wow, they are describing me perfectly, and I have all these strengths, and I can actually do that, and I should never do these things. It's fantastic. Magic of Thinking Big was another really great one. I read that one years ago. I probably should read it again. I wonder what I would get out of it now. The biggest book I ever read, I actually listened to it. It's better to listen to it than to actually read it. Compound Effect. Holy crap, the little things, man.
It's a huge book, too.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And that same author also wrote The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster. Mm-hmm. Also, but because he writes like how he talks, and he talks like how I like to be talked to.
Sure.
Yeah. Aladdin Factor, which is fantastic. Do you have to ASK to GET? That's what I got out of that one. Sometimes you just have to ask. You'd be surprised, right? I know you've experienced it too. The wealthiest person you've ever met in your life, you know him personally.
Yeah. All
right, and you have his phone number and that kind of thing, and it's cool. Sometimes you ask him questions, and because he wants to be asked by young people who are genuine. And he's willing to help you. He's giving you some serious time.
Right.
Because he just wants to be asked.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, and those aren't regular business things he usually gets asked. He
right.
really likes genuinely for people to do well.
Yeah. One of the other books, No Excuses. Brian Tracy. I think it's chapter 7. I'm pretty positive on goal setting. Changed my life. Changed my life. And it's, I don't know, 20 pages maybe. 5 Love Languages. Right. And of course, Dave Ramsey and How to Be Debt Free. Financial Peace University, I think it's called. Yeah. Those are the top ones. And the list goes on and on from there. But those, these are literally life changing. Get on Google right now. Use code word Rogan's Greens.
Right,
don't
just
do
to
that.
get them all in. No, don't use that.
I'm going to use the power of other people's podcasts. I use their codes.
Yes. All right, so we're going to pause here because I know that we did this way back, but we're going to do it again, and I have so we're going to do something we call the Grayslake Hot Seat.
Never heard of it.
I know. So we're going to get do this really quick just because I think that when we talked to you about Valen, your photography company, it was over a year ago since that's happened. I think it was like episode 7 or something. We're at 90 something as we go on.
Yeah, congratulations on all that success, by the way. God. You're known as the podcast guy.
I'm not sure that
I've seen some of your videos, and there's this one guy that's always in them. What is that?
I don't
weird
know.
dude walking around in the back.
He's an idiot.
2 idiots.
Yes. So I have some of my own questions that weren't on the list when we did yours, and also I found a little sheet laying on your desk here when I walked in that has some of your questions. It looks like you might ask some people, so I'm going to put that in there.
Okay. All right, we'll do the best again. So fast answers, right? Not the long version of my third time I got arrested.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So we'll skip that one.
But that was my favorite headshot.
Which one?
The mug shot from my third arrest.
Yeah, I can tell it was your good side.
Yeah, it was a good side. My shirt was off. Right. That's cool.
Yeah, like the second time you're on Cops. That was awesome.
Right. Yeah, I am the guy that's been on Cops 3 episodes.
Yeah.
That's me.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Right. Okay.
The Grayslake Hot Seat is brought to you by Joe Velez at JPV Financial. It's often said that those who fail to plan are planning to fail. Joe Velez and his team at JPV Financial create unique financial plans that address some of the most difficult challenges that people might face as they get older. No matter what stage of life you're in, having a proactive financial plan can help navigate some of the difficult decisions you'll face, helping you live your life by design, not default. Securities and investment advisory service offered through Osaic Wealth Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Now for the Grayslake Hot Seat. Hey, thanks, Joe.
So now for the Grayslake.
All right, focus. Go.
Yeah. Superpower. You had to have one superpower. What would it be?
Flight.
Okay. Places that you would like to travel that you have not been.
Italy for sure. The old school where everything's like brown and the doors are curved and like it's so romantic and beautiful. I would kill in that situation.
Wow. Sounds like you already know everything about it, so you don't need to go there.
Yeah. Okay. I've seen the picture. I'm done.
Yeah, I've seen the round doorways
4,000
and
a day.
Brown. Yes, we're good. If you wrote a book, what would it be about? Since you've read all these books.
I think I have 2 book ideas. One would be admirable, which is a word that I like. It shouldn't say admirable. Be admirable.
Okay.
And you are somebody.
All right. Do you have a nickname?
One of my friends calls me Superman. The other one calls me Rockstar. I mean, those are pretty cool ones.
And this is where
call me Ding Dong.
The bleeping video comes in for me, and I call you. What do you wish that you'd learned sooner in life?
That the 2 things I was really good at in school. Okay, I was good at 2 things in school: drawing, creativity, architectural drawing, things like that. I wish someone would have leaned into that and said, "You don't need English. Learn how to talk, figure out how a few things are right, but go use your craft." So it would have been really nice to have one person, at least one person, say, "You're really good at this. Go do that, and let me help you."
Right.
No one does it.
I cannot tell that you're upset with the school system at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I've taught. I teach. I get it.
Yes. What's your middle name?
It starts with an M, ends with a W.
Manuel.
Nailed it. Wow.
Because it ends with a W.
Yeah, it's like Matthew.
Oh, Matthew.
With 1 T.
Okay.
Everyone says you spell it with 2 T's. I'm like, no, I don't think so. I look at my birth certificate. Maybe about 6 months ago, I'm like, wait, how do you spell my middle name? And on my birth certificate, it has 1 T.
Interesting.
That's what makes me unique.
Wow. I find that very admirable.
Nice.
Yeah, see? No, admirable.
Yeah,
that's just admirable. Theme party at your house, if you had to have one, what kind of theme party are you having?
Rockstar, and it'd be karaoke. Lights, glamour, smoke machine.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh Boy by Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
All my love, all of my kissing. Go on.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy. 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
A professional driver, so I'd say 10.
Okay. Did you play a sport in high school?
No.
You did?
I just goofed off with gymnastics.
Okay.
And I was not very good at it. Because I wasn't encouraged. I was more artsy. I wanted to get home and listen to music.
What do you, because I know you've listened to a lot of the shows that I've put out, what was your favorite podcast episode on the Grayslake podcast that you've listened to, that you've gotten the most out of? What's your favorite one?
Yours?
Mine?
I think yours, yeah. The one, I thought yours
Really?
was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
because
good.
I still picked up things that I didn't know about you. I've known you for 21 years or 22 years or something like that.
Time flies. Yes.
Yeah. I actually got more out of that one. There was a couple other ones that were actually really good too, and I'm trying to. I hate that because if I saw the list, it'd be like that one, that one, that one.
Yeah. It's funny that when you say things like that, and I love that question. I was at a party gathering this weekend, and I was talking to some people I haven't seen in a long time. But it's funny that people listen, and they came up and they were talking about like one little part of an episode of something that they learned. And last week Brian Davies' podcast came out, and some great phone calls, great texts, like of things that really mean stuff to people, or they took out and were like, "Wow, I never knew that."
Yeah.
Like I'm still and talks with Brian about other ways they can do that. One of the biggest food pantries are in Grayslake at Lord of Glory. Like blew me away, and how many people they feed. It's such a wonderful service that they're doing for the community, and just ways for people to get involved and do things, whether they're just going there to volunteer, like how much that means. Like we worry about all kinds of different things, but there's people that actually stand in line because they need food. Wow.
Right.
Like you think you got problems?
Right.
Yeah. Go help some people out like that. Just see how powerful it is.
Yeah.
So
I think Jam and Tea's one was also great, just to listen to their backstory. I just like listening to backstories. How did it start?
right.
Because now it's moving. Everyone wants to join on the bandwagon then. But what was it like the first Wednesday and then the second Wednesday of your career? It's like that. And I'm looking forward to listening to Davey's one.
Yeah.
That's the next one on my list. So, okay. Yeah, you're re-inspiring me. I'll listen to it later.
Let me see. I'm looking for something that I don't know about you. Actually, I'm going to go to your list here. I'm going over here. See, my paper in my hand here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we're talking about purpose. All right. Give me what is your purpose on this planet?
Change young people's lives. It's so easy for me now. I have a successful business. I'm fine financially. It's now to continue to watch someone come in a fog and walk out with a massive purpose.
Okay. So with some of the things you teach in there, then what is holding you back from having it bigger and helping more kids?
Because I've never built a business like this before. Okay. And I know it's a slow process. And
so you're saying that people listening to this could actually help you?
Yes. And
open some doors for you to the youth of our community.
Yes. And I've had my friend Dr. Danny also say, hey, you should turn this system, this Ignite system, on itself.
Yeah.
Like, that's very interesting. So, a lot of long hours putting it in to develop it. And just with the website, like, what should it say? What should be the first word on the website? What's the color? What should be on the bottom? Should there be a phone number? Should I have my pricing? Like a lot of things. Like, we're all dealing with it. Great. Right. So just sit down and start doing it. And where I get completely lost, that's where I'm just going to lean into other people that can help.
I also think it's funny, too, that the day that you called me and said that the Grayslake Park District was going to host your program, and that you needed to explain this program that we're talking about, like, in a paragraph to get people to come. How in the hell do you do that?
Right. Right.
Like, so I can understand, like, how it must be, like, writing the website. And maybe they're just simple questions, too, especially for kids.
Right.
How lost are they? Right?
I would say it should take me about a half an hour to explain it, and I'm not still going to do a poor job. I mean, it's 2 or 3 minutes per module. I'm like, how long have we been talking?
Right.
I haven't tapped into this. Right. But if you're like all interested, like, then join it, or lean into who else you want to have participate in it.
Sure.
Let it change your life. It's fantastic.
Right, and especially for kids at all the things that they may try, whether it's just another sport or whether they, do you want your 18-year-old to pick up pickleball or decide what they're going? And pickleball's awesome. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, or maybe try to find out what they want to do for the rest of their life.
Right.
And shape them into who they really want to be, maybe not what everybody else wants them to be.
Yeah, I'm way better at racquetball. Actually, my record in racquetball I think is 4.95. 93.
I think that the times that I
4
beat you in
93.
racquetball,
Yeah.
I don't remember losing 4 times, so I don't know who you're playing with. Here's an interesting one I saw in your sheet, and I don't even understand what this one's for. Where was it? I just looked at it. What can I fix right now? And that says stop, start, continue. Is that like things what can you fix right now?
Like you sit on the edge of your bed. Where's the chaos in your life? What could you fix right now? Maybe it's just cleaning up your room. Maybe it's doing the dishes. Maybe it's restructuring this or doing that. Like, what do you need to start doing? What should you stop doing to stop making your life worse? And maybe you're doing some things that you should be continuing to do.
Okay, right there is a great lesson just in general.
Right, and we talk about that. That is module 5. That's holding you back. I gave you a little bit of the secret sauce, but yes, those are the questions. And it's more structured than that. But yes, that for me, I got rescued out of the gutter. I was headed on a very terrible trajectory, especially after being divorced, and all that. My life got flipped upside down, and I ended up throwing myself into the gutter. I shouldn't say that. It was like I tripped into the gutter, slowly but surely. So the first thing, I got to stop being in the gutter. And now so what do I need to stop doing? Well, how about these 3 things? I start off with 1, but eventually, you get a control of the first one. Now you can work on the second and the third, What's my biggest sin? What's the thing? The consequences of that. Whether you're religious or spiritual or not, sin is whatever. Okay, but there's an action that now has a massive consequence. Can you stop doing that action?
Right.
At least there. Okay, now you're out of the gutter and your face is all dirty and your clothes are all gross. Okay, wash your face.
Right.
Okay, make sure you got clean hands. Change your shirt. There's things you can do, man.
Right. And as people start moving forward, even like it was something you talked about before about, accomplishing little things and checking that off your list, that when you do one thing to improve your life, however it's working, you feel good about that. So you want to set the next goal or even if just a task.
Yes.
To do, to accomplish.
Your goals are an ever-expanding horizon, and that's a great thing.
No, and I love that too because you talk about like I was going to do on my thing. I had to do the dishes this morning when I got up. Well, I've yet to do them, so I hope that by tonight when I go to bed that those things are when you knock things off your list. Like, but it feels good to knock things off the list.
Oh yeah, yep,
that's good. All right, what other one do you have on here? Oh my gosh, what do you truly value? There's a good one.
One of the camaraderie. Like, I'm not in this alone. You do not have to be in this alone. Build your Elite 5. I value those immediately around me. If I get a situation I can't answer, obviously a question I can't answer or anything like that, I know who to call immediately. Give me peace of mind, encouragement, that. I value camaraderie, the battalion, basically. Who are you in war with, man?
Right.
That's on your side.
Yeah. and what kind of network and what kind of people can you build so you have someone to call with questions, right? Other than feeling helpless, like you can't do anything about it.
Right. Wow. One of my favorite stories, and this is a fun one. Someone crossed me. This was a couple of years ago, probably more than that, 8-9 years ago. Someone crossed me, and I sent a text to someone in my Elite 5. I said, and I quote, I need to seek revenge on somebody. Within 3 seconds, my phone rang. It was that person, right? Saying, okay, what are we doing? Who is it? What are we doing? Right. And it was you. I need to seek revenge.
The body still has.
What are we doing? Exactly. But it was more like, it was one of those things that set thin threads. Someone wronged me, and now I got to put them out of business.
Right. And and everybody, the fire burns for different reasons. Like yours and some people need an enemy to always work against, and that fuels their business.
Yeah, there's a book I'm reading right now. Where is it? I brought it home. Choose your enemies wisely, and it's all about that concept. Someone, Michael Jordan, you got kicked off the basketball team, and then he became the greatest ever. I wonder where he would have been if he didn't have that fire. That fire is unbelievably powerful. I know a lot of your listeners have gone through it like, I have a similar story. You have a similar story.
Yeah.
You're going to be a DJ? What? Yeah, and you made millions of dollars because of it. Because it was insulting. Yeah, I'm going to be that.
Right.
And now I'm going to do it so great.
And as long as people use it as the right way, right? That they use it. But thinking about that and how many people maybe get bogged down by that, whether it's one of these kids that you need in your group, as long as their parents aren't saying that to them, right? You're going to be a whatever, that's never going to work. Right?
Oh, gosh,
so,
it's terrible.
And being on the encourage end. But we also you and I talk a lot about like what kids want to be. And I think that one of the meetings you had, obviously we can't name any names, but one of the young gentlemen that you had in, like, what was he going to be and what they want to do. But I know people listening here find this hard to believe, but the kids think they're going to be influencers. They think they're going to make videos, or they're going to play video games and record them and put them on and make millions of dollars.
Right.
Well, that doesn't happen very often. I'm not saying it never happens, but it doesn't happen very often. So,
right.
But to them maybe seems realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Until they look at the real world on how things go.
Mm-hmm.
What was you also had another kid that said he was going to be charming and going to work out and do everything.
Have money handed to him.
People were going to give him money.
Give him money. Yep, I remember that. Yeah. I'm like, okay, how's that going to work? So after then 6 weeks into the program, he completely changed his tune and understood, like, okay, that's not just given to you. Yeah, it's not given to you.
Yeah. Because I was waiting to see how he was going to do that, because I was all about that. I was like, can we do that?
Right.
I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah. Even with you, like what your level of success with your podcast, as a podcast guy, it was just almost like a rude title. It really isn't. But so many people recognize you on the street and all that. And, but it's because you didn't just make 3 episodes. It's because you're doing the thing. So you're like an influencer now because you got to put in the time. How hard is it? It's incredibly difficult to do what you do. Just setting up the time. You have gifts, of course, the gift of gab, and you're a great interviewer and podcaster, right? Which is different.
Thank you, by the way.
Yeah. But it's because you've been doing it so long now. Some of these kids, I want to do. Yeah, it's now a job.
Right.
You're just watching a 5-minute video or 10-minute video of these young kids. Like, there's a lot of process into it.
Absolutely.
And you can't make 10. You got to make hundreds of these things.
Right.
It's a job.
Right. And the hard thing is, too, that once you dedicate yourself to doing something like that, is to when you feel like you have some kind of service to do, or like, I enjoy this because it's really cool when somebody comes up and they said they learned something, or they're going to shop at a business, or I just got a pie from Bake Share because I listened to the podcast and, he seemed like a really interesting guy, or I've never tried that. Mm-hmm. So that, to me, like when you're talking about what is success, those parts are really cool, right? Mm-hmm. To do. It's
called discovering Grayslake for a reason. We're flipping over rocks and opening up these doors, and what's in this town?
Right. And I laugh at somebody who says, what happens when you run out? And I said, there's 26,000 people that live here, right?
Right.
And we're only at 99 because the people that run the businesses aren't the only important people in our town.
Right. And it's ever expanding. Like, this is my second interview.
Right. And I'm glad that you have other things you're doing, because I find it very admirable of what you're doing with the kids. Yeah. So, all right. So as those questions are done, I want to move along, and I want to make sure that let's give some people some contact information if they're listening right now. A number they can call you at, text you at, because I know somebody's listening right now that knows if it's not their kid, it's the neighbor kid, or maybe people are wondering, like, what do I do with Johnny because he's struggling with this? Mm-hmm. Somebody listening to this is asking that question.
Correct.
So how do they get a hold of you to talk about ways that they can help them get on track?
Okay, so my website, which is going to be opened up soon, that would be one way, because there'll be contact information in there. It's liveimpactfully.com.
Liveimpactfully.com.
Right.
Okay.
Which is weird, because when you type in impactfully into a Word document, it says it's misspelled. It actually doesn't exist. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to change that. So liveimpactfully.com will have my contact information. And I believe my Gmail would be impactfulliving@gmail.com. Impactfulliving@gmail.com. That probably end up changing, but my website, once it's up and running, that will not change, and I'm sure I'll get different emails and stuff. I don't know, should I leave? I mean, there's a way to text me onto my business line.
I would, if you have it available, somebody could text you right now to help their kid out. Like, how do they get a hold of you today?
Today? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Text me at 847-417-8302. Send me a quick text. Say, hey, I just listened to podcasts. I got one of my kids is struggling with this kind of thing. How would I sign him up for this, or her up, or whatever they are? Yeah.
Yeah, and to help you out, if there's somebody listening that if they're a part of an organization or a group that you feel like this program would fit really well into, Steve does travel, so you can have this in somewhere else as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one of the things I want to specialize in is in youth group. Especially like the high school kids. Because they're already somewhat on the right track, and I want to increase that track, or extend it out. Like, this is what you can actually do.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, I appreciate your time being on here again. It's excellent, and I can't wait to see what happens and some more success stories of these young men and women that are involved in everything. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate that. And join the battalion. Let's do this.
That's right. All right, Grayslake, no matter where you're listening, whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on Apple, whether you're on YouTube, wherever you're listening, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. That way, every Tuesday, you will be alerted to a new guest that's been on the podcast. And I always encourage people to listen to the people you don't know, because I think the more you know about people that live in our community, the more it builds community. And as we always sign off, you never know what your friends, your family, or friends, or anybody going through today. So get out there and do 1, 2 random acts of kindness. Pick up the phone, text somebody maybe you haven't talked to, open the door for somebody. Just smiling at people can change their day. So get out there and do a random act of kindness for me. All right, and Grayslake, we'll see you next Tuesday, everybody.